Okay. Go ahead and start. Good evening. I'm Valerie Pruitt with the Reform Alliance. Thank you for joining us this evening for our town hall meeting. The Reform Alliance is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting school opportunities for all students in Arkansas. We strive to raise public awareness of all types of education options for families, including traditional public schools, charter schools, magnet schools, online learning, private schools, and homeschooling. In addition, we are proud that the Succeed Scholarship Program we are helping implement through the Department of Education. The topic for tonight's town hall meeting is knowing your options. We want you to know about school options that are available to families in the state of Arkansas. We have an awesome panel tonight to lead this discussion. During this call, if you have any questions for the panel, please press 0 and a team member will put your question in the queue. If your questions are not answered tonight, please feel free to call us at 501-244-9028, and we will do our best to get them answered. The Reform Alliance, you can also email us, info@thereformalliance.org. Again, this is the town hall meeting of the Reform Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to supporting school opportunities for all students in the state of Arkansas. And again, you can call the Reform Alliance at 501-244-9028 and email us at info@thereformalliance.org. Now I want to introduce our awesome panel tonight. Kim Holland is a kindergarten teacher in the Little Rock School District. She teaches at Baseline Elementary. Kim is an Arkansas native and product of the Little Rock School District. She received her Bachelor's of Arts degree in Psychology, Master of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from UALR, and a doctorate in Public Policy with a specialization in Criminal Justice from the University of Arkansas. She is the proud mother of Zachary, a senior at Baylor University, and daughter Zoe. She is a junior at Little Rock Central High School. And Kim says she also loves her Yorkie poodle fur baby, Honey Cinnamon, a.k.a. toddler baby. Kim says some people feel that being an educator is a non-rewarding chore, but she says that being an educator is fun-filled, ever-changing in a class all by itself. And she considers herself a change agent, a teacher who advocates for greater change in the lives of youth, one student at a time. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
Alisa Hooper is Administrative Director of Pathfinder Academy in Jacksonville, which is an approved Succeed Scholarship Program. Pathfinder is a small private middle and high school program for students on the autism spectrum. Elise is also an on-site occupational therapist for the program and has been in that role for the school since 2011. She is married and has a 4-year-old daughter at home. Elise says she struggled herself with sensory processing disorder growing up, and because of that, she says she has an inside perspective on some of the struggles of her students and is excited to share with families what Pathfinder has to offer and feel it is very important for families to be aware of their choices in Arkansas. Welcome, Elise.
Thank you.
Charles Wood is our next panel. He is principal of Friendship Aspire Academy in Pine Bluff. It is a free public charter school that will open in August of 2018, this school year, here in August. Charles has over 14 years of teaching and administration experience. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in physical education, as well as a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership and Supervision. He has an uncompromising belief that all students can learn given a positive learning environment which will enhance their confidence. Thank you, Charles, for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we have David Scott, who is principal of Agape Academy. It is a private school here in Little Rock. David was born and raised in Scotland. He attended Napper and Moray House Universities in Edinburgh, Scotland. He has been teaching for over 20 years in schools in Scotland, Northern Ireland, New Zealand, and South Africa. For the past 12 years, he has been head teacher of 2 schools in Scotland. He has been at Agape Academy since August of 2017, and Agape is eligible to become a Succeed Scholarship program, and we're hoping to bring them on board very soon. Thank you, David. And also, we have with us tonight Shelley Price Seeley. She is the Local Development Manager for Arkansas and Louisiana Virtual Academy, K-12 public online school. Shelley was born and raised in Arkansas. She graduated in 2003 with a degree in mass communications and marketing. After beginning her career in 2003 with the University of Phoenix, she later graduated in 2007 with a master's degree in business administration. For over 8 years, Shelley has worked as a student recruiter for the University of Arkansas Community College in Morrilton until moving to the U of A system, which she went on to work with the eVersity, which is the state's only 100% online university created by the U of A in 2016. And Shelley says her passion is helping students achieve their education through the learning style that best fits their lifestyle. So again, welcome to our panel. This is the Reform Alliance Town Hall meeting. We have an awesome panel tonight. I guess you can tell that from the backgrounds that I've just given you on them. Again, I would like to remind you that if you have a question, please press 0 on your pound key, and we will have one of our staff members to take your question and get it in the queue for our panel. Okay, before we get started with our great panel tonight, I want to ask a polling question to our callers. Do you have a child in a K-12 school? Press 1 for yes or 2 for no. Again, do you have a child in a K-12 school? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. Remember, during this call, if you have questions, please press 0 and a team member will put your question in the queue. Now, let's go to our panel. Again, thank you all for participating in our discussion. I'd like to first ask you all, what is your school's mission and also the education philosophy of your school? Let's start, I guess, here in our studio. Charles, we'll go to you first.
The mission of Friendship Fire Academy is to provide a world-class education that motivates students to achieve high academic standards, enjoy learning, and develop an ethical, literate, well-rounded, and self-sufficient citizen. Our school seeks to fulfill this mission by providing students with a high-quality, liberal arts education focused on preparing students with academic and life skills needed to be successful and beyond. The curriculum paths that we're going to be using, we're utilizing thematic planning. I'm a big proponent of thematic planning, so we'll be using some familiar curricula that people are well aware of. So we have Eureka Math. We will also utilize Great Minds, who also produces Eureka Math. We utilize Wit and Wisdom for our ELA. FOSS Science, which is full option science system, a very hands-on approach to science. And then we'll be utilizing the Collins Writing series for teaching writing to our students.
Great. Pam?
Well, our mission statement is not that grand. I'm sure about this. Working in the Little Rock School District, every school has their own individual mission statement, but for Baseline Academy, can you hear me good? Making sure.
Yep.
Okay. For Baseline Academy, we have a mantra that it's FLEP. And FLEP stands for Family, Leadership, Empowerment, Progress, and Student-Centered. And each morning when the kids come in, we actually empower them through that mantra. We live it, we breathe it, we speak it, we walk it, we talk it every single day. But most importantly, we are student-centered. That's our mission.
Okay.
Student-centered.
Okay. David?
Hi, yes, thank you. Well, Agape Academy is linked to Agape Church in Napa Valley. We present all of our learning objectives from a Christian perspective and a biblical worldview. Ours is quite a simple mission as well, 3 E's and 3 R's. We want to educate, equip and empower our students so that they know how to, the 3 R's, read, reason and research. And again, we are student-centered and parent-partnered in order to develop our children into lifelong learners.
Great. Thank you, David. Shelley?
Okay, great. The mission of Arkansas Virtual Academy is to support, guide, and assist families and colleagues in a positive way through teamwork to promote academic growth that leads to high achievement for the entire Arkansas virtual community. We do this by keeping sight of our vision and embracing change through teamwork and good communication to ensure family commitment to accomplish our purpose. And I'm not sure if everybody, I can tell that probably by saying Arkansas Virtual Academy, we are a tuition-free public statewide charter school in the state of Arkansas, K through 12, and our curriculum is by K-12. They're based out of Herndon, Virginia, but K-12 actually has, they have schools, different kinds of schools, virtual, that meet all different kinds of needs, nationwide, and we even have some international academies. But a lot of homeschoolers, as well as different other types of programs, do use our curriculum by K-12.
Great. Elise, what about Pathfinders?
Pathfinder Academy's mission is to help each one of our students achieve the highest level of independence and success that's possible for them. And our philosophy is kind of meeting every student where they're at and working as a team to help our students and our families find success.
Great. Thank you all for those answers to those questions. My next question is, each of you, well, it's not a question, it's really, I want to get your feedback on this. Each of you made the choice to work with students in different learning environments. Talk about how having options have made you more of an effective educator. Shelley?
Okay. Well, I'll be glad to answer that. As a matter of fact, I've worked in higher education for about 15 years in the state of Arkansas. And then with taking this position, I've worked on the admission side. I've worked with students recruiting for so long. I've always had a passion for education. But when I took this position with K-12, it's not only about educating the families about the different opportunities that they have within the state of Arkansas with education, but I believed in it so much that I actually enrolled my 5th grader into Arkansas Virtual Academy, and he started in January 2018 of this year. So I actually became an educator. With ARVA, what we do, since it is a public school, it's actually what we like to say public school at home. We have to adhere by all the public school requirements and everything like that. But we have Arkansas certified teachers that actually teach. So our students get online, they do their required work, they do class connect sessions. Teachers actually do all of the lesson plans. So the parents are more like the learning coaches is what they're called. So they're really basically there to kind of help just guide the student. There's learning coach guides for the parents to make sure that their children stay on track, to log their attendance every day, to really, also stay communicated with the child's teacher and everything. And so I did become an educator myself actually this year. So I actually was working in marketing for ARVA and traveling all over the state and telling families about the opportunities that we can provide. And then also it provided an opportunity for my son to have a flexible schedule. Based on every child's need is what we can actually, every child's learning environment is different. Some of our children decide to do this because they're athletes and they're training half a day, so they need a flexible schedule. Some of them have learning disabilities. personally, I'll share with y'all, my son was in the 5th grade. He had gone to the same K through 4 school in Conway his whole entire life. They knew how to cater to him. But he has chronic severe anxiety and migraines. And he changed schools, and he went from a national scholar to almost fell in the 5th grade. And so that's when we decided that it was not working for him anymore. And so we looked into a lot of different options, and this is what worked best for our family. I have 2 other children that go to a private school. And then we decided to do this option with my son because of his headaches and the flexibility that he needed. The learning environments are just endless with our type of students that we have.
Okay, great. Tim, talk about what options have made you, the option that you've chosen for teaching in a public school, how that made you more an effective educator.
Well, like Shelley, like Shelley, I'm actually a non-traditional teacher, but like Shelley, I worked about 8 years in the higher ed at 2 universities within the state of Arkansas. And from that, just having my son at the time, I was able to volunteer a lot for my flexible schedule on the higher ed level. And from being that way, that afforded me the opportunity to kind of see the ins and outs of the local Little Rock School District, which was fantastic. I'm a believer that there are options, but my first choice would be the public school option. I never want to give up on that because I am a product of the Little Rock School District. So I really believe in public education. There are a lot of different, not to put down any other type of education, there are a lot of different ones. And it also speaks to the child themselves. So being allowed those opportunities and knowing and networking of sorts allowed me the opportunity to move into the position that I am in now in terms of working for the Little Rock School District, which I will be going into my 13th year as a non-traditional teacher. It was interesting when I first started back in 2006, because I volunteered so much, everybody thought I already had a job in the district, and I did not. Because I would say I'm in these people's business, and I literally was. So I showed up at my son's school as the kindergarten teacher, and they were like, well, what are you doing here? Because I was always there volunteering. And I said, well, I'm here to work. They said, no, get out. So, and that just, that made a bold statement because they never had anybody that interested in what they believe in, which was educating kids, making a difference in the kids' lives. So I enjoy the options. The options are endless in terms of education. So that's just kind of where I've been.
Great. Before we go on, we've got some new folks online, and I just want them to know that this is the Reform Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting school opportunities for all students in the state of Arkansas. And tonight, a topic of our conversation is knowing your options. Charles, let's talk about how you decided to teach charter school and how that made you a better educator.
Well, so I come from a family of no educators, or I am the first generation educator on both sides of my family. Started off in education as a PE teacher. I wanted to be an elementary PE teacher because I just love kids, love the activity. I actually had open heart surgery when I was younger. One of the things they told my parents was that I wouldn't be able to be physically active, so that became kind of motivation to become a PE teacher. Had a principal tap me on the shoulder, started helping and assisting other PE teachers, moved into a dean of students, moved into a principal, and now that's brought me here to Arkansas. That choice piece for me is huge. Coming from the state of Indiana where charter schools aren't a big deal, but looking around the state of education and just knowing that those options are imperative for parents to have. Myself, I'm a product of public education. I love it. But I also like to remind people that our charter school is a public education facility. Mm-hmm. It is the option that what we're bringing to the city of Pine Bluff, just the option that parents are being able to have another choice for where to educate their child. And I think about everything in our society and everything in my own personal life, it always comes down to choice. We love having choices. Sometimes we're restricted with our choices, and sometimes we truly have free choice to select what we think is what's best for us. And I think the state of education now is, I'm encouraged to see that parents are empowered to say that I have a choice for my child and where I will send my child and where my child will be educated and how they will be educated. And so for us, for Friendship with Fire, it's just that. It's truly, truly a partnership. If you ask any of my parents, I'm telling them this is not my school, this is our school. Help our school to be great. And so for me, the ultimate line fact for me ending up where I am is, for me, this is my mission field. For me, this isn't a career or a job. This is my mission field. This is where I get the privilege of serving others and helping families and being a positive figure for every boy and girl that steps across the threshold of our school.
And can I just, this is Shelley really quick, and I just want to say something really quick on Charles. Welcome, but I am actually from the Pine Bluff area. I grew up in a small town not far from there, Star City. And, you know, a lot of those schools in that area are all consolidating and everything. So when you said there's not a lot of options and you're letting me know, that's great, because, you know, that's what everybody needs to know when things like that happen, that there are so many other options in the state of Arkansas for our children to attend school.
Absolutely.
And the Reform Alliance, we are working with Charles and other stakeholders in Pine Bluff, because there are not a lot of school options in that part of our state. So we're looking forward to doing more work in that area. David, let's go to you and Elise, and then we're going to go to questions from our caller. Do I need to repeat that?
No, you're okay. I'm happy to take it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a great question, and thank you for it. I've been in education for over 20 years now. As you can tell from my accent, most of those were in Scotland. So I was a teacher, and then a principal in the state sector in Scotland for 20 years. And my family and I came to Little Rock in August of 2017 I came to take up the position of principal at Agape Academy. And so I'm just loving the change that has brought us in terms of, I guess I have the ability to mould curriculum and resources and personnel to fit our children's needs, our students' needs. We have a great ratio here of 9 to 1 on average. So, you know, every child is individual and unique. And you know, with our ratio, I just love the fact that we're able to tailor our curriculum to their needs. I've mentioned resources, allocating specifically personnel, and also just being able to work with parents, get in partnership with them. You know, I think children only spend about 15% of their time in school, although we do run from 7:30 till 6 p.m., so maybe I need to revisit that percentage. But just so parents are, you know, such a great influence on their children's lives, on children's lives. So we want to partner with them, you know. So we have regular meetings. So I guess what I'm saying, the bottom line is, I like the small scale of a private school whereby we can be much more flexible to the specific needs and requirements of our families in terms of allocating resources, adopting methodologies, and kind of setting forward a problem-solving mentality so we can, you know, work together for the best of our students.
Great. Okay. Elise, before I go to you, I just want to remind our callers, if you have a question for the panel, please press 0, and a team member will put your question in the queue. Elise, okay, I want to go to you and have you talk about how having options have made you more of an effective educator.
Okay. I will be the first to say Pathfinder Academy is not for everyone. We've had a lot of students there, but they're students that weren't having success in other areas because either their sensory needs or their social needs were so overwhelming that they couldn't learn successfully in a different environment. So that's why they're with us. And I think just the ability, not being locked into a specific curriculum, not being locked in to teaching to a standardized test or having to work on a state portfolio because they're 10th graders and they need to do geometry, we have to do that, versus, you know, they can't tell a triangle from a square and we need to work on other skills that are really going to help them in life. And so I just like the freedom that we have to just be able to meet students where they're at and figure out what's going to work best for them. And the flexibility that we have to modify schedules and modify environments and set goals specifically in their IEP based on what the family and the student needs to be successful in the long run.
Okay, great. We have a question from Paul in Little Rock for the panel. Why is there so much negativity surrounding school choice? Elise, since you're on the line, you just finished that question.
Okay.
Would you answer that, and then we'll ask Paul to respond, and we'll go on down
Sure.
the line.
I think some of the fear about school choice is that there's a fear that the support for public schools is going to decrease. And I can understand that fear because it sounds like we're not prioritizing public schools anymore. But I just really don't think that's true. I think we're just giving other options out there for those families, and they're not a huge amount of families, but there are some families where public schools just aren't set to meet their needs for their students, and giving them other options.
Okay. David?
Yeah, school choice it's not a one-size-fits-all. You know, we need to, one of the key indicators of pupil achievement is parental involvement. And so giving parents the choice, I think, is pivotal to student success. And we're talking about not just a simplistic divide between state schools and private schools, for example. I think we're talking about a whole range of schools and options for parents that want to find an educational setting that best fits their students' needs.
Shelley?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with them. I believe it's just like David just said, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You know, now that we have all these options, I think oftentimes parents might be overwhelmed. They don't know what is the best option because, like us, as when we were growing up, our generation, we only had one option. You went to this school, this public school where you had to go, or there might have been a private school option. But now there's all these other options, and they just don't really know exactly what might be best for their child. But it's really just assessing their needs, finding out, doing your research about the schools, asking questions. That's my big thing is everybody always says, I hate to ask so many questions. I'm like, no, ask me questions. I'm that parent, I promise you, that asks so many questions too, no matter what. So I think it's just now that it's just a different generation, and it's just overwhelming for a lot of parents.
Kim, you're nodding your head, so let's go to you.
Well, I mean, I agree. There is a lot of negatives, but it has to be, for me, it's about parent choice. And granted, there are a lot of options out there for parents, especially when their kids are, because I prefer teaching the younger kids. I like to be the first one. And so, you know, to prep them up for the future. But for those particular parents, there's a lot of anxiety, particularly more than when you were just switching schools or kids are transitioning from elementary to middle school or to high school. The anxiety levels of even after you have a child and you're looking at daycare centers. So it kind of stems from there with the negativity because there are so many options. I agree with they're very overwhelming. It's still overwhelming for me because I have a, what is she? She's a junior.
You mean your child?
Yes. She's a junior.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my kids, too. I'm like, what's going on?
I have so many grade levels. I'm a senior in college and I'm a junior in high school. So wherever
you have all those kids you teach.
Yeah, and whatever level my kids are on, that's where I am. So, but the negativity there, it's really not negative of sense. It's more of the anxiety that personifies the negativity, because people would be almost at war, if you will, with each other in terms of, well, my kid's going to go here, my kid's going to go here, and then you get these charter schools to start up, and then the charter schools start up so quickly, and they don't have the standard foundation that they need, that solid foundation that they need, and so they close down, and then there's more anxiety, then they're, back into the public schools. but I think it was Shelley that said where, the generation that we came up in, it's one school. It was that neighborhood school, and that's it pretty much.
Yes.
They're going to go to that school. Everybody's going to go to the neighborhood school. Then from the neighborhood school, you're going to go to the next school, and it's just going to be it. But I don't know if it's a government, if it's a political thing, or whatever happens, but that when too many people get into the business of education that are not educators, that makes it negative, and that becomes a very complex situation. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. Well, all of you with Friendship
Very well said.
have been around a long time, and you've had some really successes in the communities that you've gone to. So let's.
So yes, I think a lot of the negativity that stems from it is a lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple, we're a public charter school. We are a public institution for students. There's no tuition cost to come to our school. There's a lot of misconception about charter schools, and I think it all stems from a lot of people hearing something from someone about a particular thing and not conducting their own research. We're telling all of our kids at all of our schools to go find the answers, conduct that research, develop your own answer. But when you think about choice, it's not bad. Rita Pearson says that every kid deserves a champion. And that is so true. And I believe that every kid, no matter where they are, deserves to have the best educators in front of them. And I believe that educators everywhere, no matter the setting, whether it's private, charter, public, there are great teachers who are being there for our kids and producing great products. I recently moved to the city. I love the option of having more than one place to buy my groceries from. There are certain things that I can get from Whole Foods that I can't get from Kroger. And I don't think either store needs to close. I think the option is there and both serve a purpose. And I think when we're looking at education, it's coming out of that lens of that that neighborhood school mentality, because so many of our communities have changed so much since we all were in neighborhood school mentality. And when you think about charter schools, and particularly our school, what I love about the Friendship Way is we intentionally start small. We're only going to have kindergarten and first grade students this year, because that is a misconception of charter that they try to start so large, and you can't create that climate and culture that you need to make a school successful when you're starting that large. So we're very intentional about starting small and adding a grade level each year. And so for me, that choice is critical, and it's a beautiful option for parents to be in a situation to say, after they hear, lack of better words, all of our skills about our schools, to say that as the parent of this kid, I know my kid better than anybody else. This is the choice that I choose for them. And if we really look at it, it's really preparing them for the ultimate goal that we all have, which is how to choose that college. We can all remember that critical decision we had to make about choosing where to go to college. So that preparation and that understanding that the choice is a positive thing is something that we need to come out more in the state of education today.
Okay. We have a caller who really doesn't have a question but a statement. This is Paula from Pine Bluff. Public schools does and always will serve the majority of students, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Very true.
Okay.
I totally agree.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all agree with that, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Paula.
Yeah. Okay. You need
Yeah.
to call
Paula, you have kindergarten or first grade.
I'm the Friendship of Fire.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of what... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Barbara from Conway, she wants to know more about options in her area. So, Barbara, we're going to, the Reform Alliance will give you a call tomorrow and talk about some of the options that are available in Conway to you, okay? I'm sorry, Shelley, you were saying something?
Well, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off what Charles was saying, and, he was saying it's great to have so many options. And one of the things, too, is that, these days you hear, parents say, oh, I sent my child there and it was just horrible. I mean, just because one person has a bad experience doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good fit for your family. We all know how that all goes. I mean, customer service and how all this stuff. And so it's really just still taking the time to do the research, call, meet in person, whatever you have to do to feel comfortable with that school in order to send your child there. And that's one of the things that I say all the time about, we're a complete virtual school, and I remember when my son was in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, like, I could not wait for orientation to walk into class, to meet his teacher, to ask several questions, to, see who all was in his class with him. And we really try to strive to bring that to the parents, because it is important. I mean, we're talking about, we always say, this is one of the biggest investments we'll ever make is our children's education. And we are, these are our babies that we're sending off or either, taking care of 24/7. And this is one of the most important decisions that we can make. So, like, again, just research, do what you feel like is most comfortable and what you feel is the best fit for you and, your entire family or your child.
Great. There's no too many questions that a parent can ask.
No, I'm not parent. We'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden, the teacher will go, "Do you have any questions?" And the room full of 30 parents won't say a word, and all of a sudden I'm like, "I do," and then I'm like, someone's got to have a question.
Right, and that's something that the Reform Alliance, we're also working with communities and different organizations and stakeholders, because we want our parents to feel empowered as it relates to their child's education. We're going to go to polling question number 2, and then we're going to go to a question from a caller. Polling question, should families have the opportunity to pursue high-quality educational options regardless of zip code or income? On your telephone keypad, press 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 if you need more information. Again, should families have the opportunity to pursue high-quality educational options regardless of zip code or income? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, and 3 if you need more information. And again, I want to remind our callers, if you have any questions for the panel, please remember to press 0 on your keypad, and a team member will put your question in the queue. And for those that are just joining us, this is the Reform Alliance Town Hall meeting, and our topic tonight is Knowing Your Options. The Reform Alliance is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting school opportunities for all students in the state of Arkansas. And you can reach us at 501-244-9028, and you can also email us at info@thereformalliance.org. I have a question. Well, there is a question from Randy from Batesville. Thank you, Randy, for calling in. Randy says, what do we do about children who are not able to attend private schools or have other options? Or can afford other options. I'm sorry. Lori, write a little clearer. We got to have some fun up here. Okay, again, this is Randy in Batesville, and he wants to know, what do we do about children who are not able to attend private schools or can't afford private schools?
Can I chip in on that?
Sure, David.
So, come to that.
Hey, Lori wrote it correctly. I just can't see it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
Well, I guess I have 2 points. And the first, I'll come back to Randy's question in a second. And just with regards to the previous discussion, we live in a time where we have a global economy. We have increasing mobility, physical and electronic. And I think there's a little bit of a shift in thinking required. Communities are important, but in terms of choice, it's okay to maybe lift your head up and look around. I use myself as an example. We made the leap across the Atlantic in the name of school choice. And so to come back to Randy's question, when a parent would phone up and show an interest in the Gaffey Academy, the first thing we do is schedule a tour and an interview, and we just talk with the parent and get to know the child and try and discern what their needs are and what they're looking for. And we have a range of options. And one of those options is we operate a scholarship scheme, whereby if this is the right fit for the child, then we do what we can to make sure that they can attend here so that money is not an obstacle.
Okay, that's good.
This is Shelley, and I'd like to just say one of the things, the good thing about technology is online. Years ago, I mean, even whenever I was in college, online classes they were just kind of coming out. Everybody was kind of, still the internet was new and online classes. And now it has come so far that whenever I was even working in higher ed and I was working at a brick and mortar school, if I got a call from students, 8 out of 10 of them would be like, well, what online classes do you have? What online classes? And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you not want to come to class? So it has just gotten to where that they feel like that's more flexible. And like with Arkansas Virtual Academy, we are a statewide public tuition-free charter school. So just research. I mean, there's other things. There's private, there's public, there's districts, there's statewide, virtual, in-person, just all kinds of things. Just really research on what your options are.
And, of course, charter schools in Arkansas are free.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And a lot of private schools do offer some type of scholarships, or, most schools want to diverse their population in their schools, and so they are offering financial aid. So, again, research, asking questions, that's how parents can really know their choices. And, of course, the Succeed Scholarship Program, which is administered through the Reform Alliance, and this is for children who have an IEP, and they're currently in a public school, but that school is not meeting their needs. They can qualify for up to $6,700 to attend a private school that better fits their needs, such as Pathfinders. Pathfinders is one of our Succeed Scholarship Program schools who has a scholarship program. So, again, there are options, and we at the Reform Alliance know all about the options, and we just ask you to give us a call at 501-244-9028 if you have any questions that have not been answered tonight and you need to know more about options available in Arkansas. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions and point you in the right direction. I have a call from Paul in Fayetteville, and he wants to know, what do you do to prepare students for advancement, and how does your school measure academic progress? Charles, you want to start?
I absolutely will. Can you repeat that question for me one more time?
I can. I'll do it a little slower. I'm kind of talking fast. He's pointing to Kim. Kim, you want to go first? We're having fun here. What do you do to prepare students for advancement, and how does your school measure academic progress?
Great. So we prepare our students for that advancement through our rigorous curriculum. We are going to push our students to, especially our kindergartners and first graders, that first year, to meet mastery and to meet the expectation of the standards that are being provided. We also are going to measure that through the MAP assessment, or NWEA testing. I love the MAP assessment. We're going to give that test to our students 3 times a year. And I, as the principal of that school, I will have conversations with our teachers in regards to that data once it's produced. And we'll have conversations. That data will drive our instruction on what we do with our students, not just that MAP piece of data, but the culmination of all the data that we get back from our kids, whether it's the exit tickets in Eureka, the assessments with Wit and Wisdom. Those things will all factor into conversations that we will have monthly to guide teachers to make database decisions for our kids. We have an end goal where we want every kindergartner to be at the end of the year, where every first grader should be at the end of the year. And our constant focus on the data is to get our kids, every last one of them, to that goal. And so I will make sure that I spearhead those conversations. And if those conversations have to be difficult conversations, that, to me, that falls on the shoulders of the building leader to have those courageous conversations with teachers. The one thing I've learned about any parent and their student is every parent expects their child to grow at least 1 year academically under a teacher's teaching. Anything above that is a plus. So no matter where a kid comes in, whether they are a student who is at grade level, above grade level, or below grade level, our job is to make sure that we push them towards the expectation of attaining a year's growth in under their teaching of their teacher.
Thank you. Kim?
Hey, repeat that again, because Charles.
Okay.
He said a lot of what I wanted to say, so I'm trying to. Yeah, he really did.
You want to just say ditto? Oh.
No.
Okay, the question from Paul and Fayetteville, what do you do to prepare students for advancement, and how does your school measure academic progress?
Okay. Well, aside from the expectations of the state requirement, which is what a lot of schools within the Little Rock School District kind of follow, but we teach a rigorous curriculum, and from that rigorous curriculum, of course, I prefer teaching the younger kids, the younger kids, and to have that solid foundation, whether it's from kindergarten all the way up through whatever grade these kids are in. Because, Little Rock School District is K-12, so whatever grade the kids are in, every time a kid comes in to the new school year, you have to make sure that they have the foundation that was set the year before and years past. Because in order for, like Charles was saying, in order for the kids to have a year's growth or even half a year's growth beyond what the expectation is for that current grade year, you have to make sure that there's a solid foundation put into place. And by doing so, there are multiple tests, depends on what grade level, and I'm so familiar with the MAP test. I can't believe they were doing that to the babies. But anyway, but it's so worth it because it's technology driven, and it allows the kids to learn more instead of the writing, the paper, and the listening to a teacher read to them like we used to. But it's that data-driven instruction. Once those kids have those tests taken, and after that window that's all aligned from the state of Arkansas, once those kids have that test, they've taken that test, then it's the responsibility of the test coordinator to make certain that all of that data is put into whatever system that's required. And once that data is, the results are back from that data, then there's a sit-down meeting that happens with the administrators, that happens within grade levels, that happens with the whole staff as a whole, because not just teachers teach, particularly in our school, and in some other schools that I've been at, not just teachers teach, the traditional classroom teacher, but you have your music teacher, you have your physical education teacher, you have your art teacher. They also, too, help to enhance the learning of our kids because they also follow not only their individualized curriculum, but they follow the curriculum that is across the subject areas, social studies, science, math, literacy. In order for the kids to be successful, everybody has to play a role.
Okay. David?
Yeah, sure. Expectation is one of the biggest determinants of a child's ability to achieve. So we've heard talk about setting high standards. So, with teachers, that's across the staff, with parents, and within the class of students themselves, students rise to the standard that we set and we expect for them. So, we engage our students. We measure that in a number of ways. We have assessments, Stanford 10 assessments twice a year. As has been mentioned, we use that data rigorously to identify strengths and areas for improvement. But the teacher is one of the best sources of information for how a child is progressing. So the key there is dialogue. It's having parents in, it's sending regular home school communication to talk about where the child is succeeding, where they need support. It's all about that partnership. So, we open that door early on, we engage with parents, and, we use the data that we have and the assessments as they're ongoing to try and paint a picture that set learning goals for the child, that they can mark their own achievement and progress, and also involving the child. We've talked about standardized assessments, we've talked about teacher-led assessments. We want to engage the child. We want them to become a lifelong learner. So one of the best ways that you can encourage a child to have advancement throughout their lives is enable them to take a degree of control over their learning. So if they understand what the learning goals are, what the success criteria are, then they're in a great position to be able to measure their own progress, set new standards, and become lifelong learners.
Thank you, David. Elise, and then we'll go to Shelley.
Okay. We're a little bit different in that we only serve students with special needs, and we are not a college prep program. We are a certificate of completion program. And so what success and achievement looks like for our students is different for every single student based on their abilities. And so we spend a lot of our time, we have an online system, Rethink First, and we use a lot of principles of applied behavior analysis and take data on students' achievements every single day, and then work towards, we're looking for them to meet goals and breaking it down into small objectives and making sure that they are progressing forward on a regular basis.
Okay. Shelley, the Arkansas Virtual Academy, how is that done with the online learning program?
Sure. Well, the only time that the student is actually required to be at a site in person is for state-required testing, because we are a public charter school. So they do have to do, like, ACT or ACT Aspire testing. Our kids also do STAR testing, which focuses on reading, writing, math, and science. That is administered and timed through the instructor. But it's all about teamwork. And I'll tell you, I learned this as being a learning coach for my child this year and working full time. But what we do, we have what's called family engagement coordinators. So whenever you start, you're just not thrown in there and say, okay, you're going to, log in and your child's going to learn virtually. We have a very strong START program that walks you through the progress. You're going to have a family engagement coach that you can reach out to almost at any time, and they're going to be there to help you. But it's about accountability. It's accountability for the students, and it's accountability for the parents, because I'll tell you, my son is a very motivated learner. I would be busy working. I work from home primarily. He would be in his room doing his work. And then, like I said, I have two other children and my husband, and they get home, we get busy. And all these, different activities. And about the second or third day, I would either get a call or a text or an email from the family engagement coach going, Shelley, what's going on? Are you okay? You haven't logged your child's progress, and da-da-da-da. I mean, so they are on you every step of the way. You can actually also, the parent and the student, but what I really liked is I could log into my son's website at any time and see how many lessons he completed, how many hours and minutes he was online. We have a mastery program in order to move on to the next, next, I guess you could say, lesson. You have to master at least 80%. So I put it, kind of in perspective this way. If they're going to a brick and mortar and they take a test on Friday, and they might make a D or an F, which means that they did not grasp the concept, but then they go back on Monday and they start the next chapter, which builds off of that. Here it is based off of the student, so they're not all at the same level. It is based on their skill level. We have individualized educational plans just for that student. So if they don't master it, then you can go back and see what they missed, what they need to work on a little bit more, and then that way they're able to be able to grasp those concepts and move on.
Okay. Thank you, Shelley. We've got just a few more minutes. I want to get this last polling question in. Here at the Reform Alliance, we believe when families, communities, and schools work together, students are more successful and the entire community benefits. For schools across the country, family engagement is becoming an integral part of education reform efforts. Research continues to show that when families are engaged in their child's education, children tend to do better. So our next polling question is, do you agree that communities will be stronger when families, schools, and other stakeholders engage to support high-quality education? On your telephone keypad, press 1 for yes, 2 for no, and 3 for more information. Again, do you agree that communities will be stronger when families, schools, and other stakeholders engage to support high-quality education? Press 1 on your keypad for yes, 2 for no, and 3 if you need more information. This has been a wonderful, wonderful panel discussion. I really hate to end this, but we are about at our deadline time. I would like to, again, thank our panelists for being here. Kim Holland, who is a kindergarten teacher in the Little Rock School District at Baseline Elementary. Elise Cooper, who is Administrative Director of Pathfinder Academy in Jacksonville. Charles Wood, who is Principal of Friendship Aspire Academy in Pond Bluff. David Scott, who is the Principal at Agape Academy here in Little Rock. And also Shelley Price Finley, who is Local Development Manager for Arkansas Virtual Academy K-12 Public Online School. Again, thank you all for coming. This has been a great discussion on knowing your options. If you have any questions that we did not get answered for you tonight, or if you need more information on educational opportunities here in Arkansas, please give us a call at 501-244-9028, or you can email us at info@reformalliance.org. Please follow the Reform Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Valerie Pruitt with the Reform Alliance, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are cracking me up.